contemplate my fate. Do they know the places where we go when we're gray and old? 'Cause I have been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, and I feel that love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. And through it, oh, she offers me protection, a lot of love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. When I'm feeling weak and my plane walks down a one-way street, I look above and I know I'll always be blessed with love. And as the feeling grows, she breathes flesh to my bones. When love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. And through it, oh, she offers me protection, a lot of love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. Forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. Never
say something about it. Hello, everyone. We're about to start. Could I just ask if younger folk who are sitting, maybe a few of you further back, just make a bit of space for some of the older people like me to sit down, if you don't mind. Thank you. Excuse me, everyone. Can we just ask for a bit of quiet, please? Thank you.
So she took her love for 2 days a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? Forget the sun in his jealous sky as we lie in fields of gold. See the west wind like a lover's soul upon the fields of barley. Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold. Never made promises like that. There have been some that I've broken, but I swear on the days you left, we walk in fields of gold. We walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down among the fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Williamson, and I'm your MC today. Having been MC at Joe and Andy's wedding, it's a privilege to be asked to stand here for Andy's send-off. And what a truly gorgeous, stunning photo of Andy. A couple of housekeeping matters first. In the event of a fire, the exits are to either side of this room behind me, and likewise at the far end of the room. The assembly points outside are in the car park behind to my left, and over there next to the Maori Poe statues. Toilets are on either side of this room behind me. A special thanks to Michelle and the harbour staff for hosting us this afternoon. As we're about to hear, North Harbour hockey was a massive part of Andy's life, and this is certainly the most fitting place to come together for Andy's big send-off, particularly given the huge number of friends, family and colleagues who are here today. We are streaming into the room next door, just down the corridor, so if anyone doesn't want to stand, there are a lot of speakers today. There is a room just to the side on the corridor where you can sit and watch it on live stream, and we're also live streaming to friends and family around New Zealand and offshore. I'd like to acknowledge for those who are out of town just how disconnected some of you would have been feeling from a distance. We have many speakers today, and consequently there won't be an opportunity for others to come forward and speak at the end. We hope you'll understand that given the huge network of friendships Andy has built over his 57 years, we'd otherwise be here for days sharing our stories. Andy was cremated a few days ago at a private family ceremony. He is with us today in spirit, and Andy's ashes are in the wooden urn on the table to my right. I hope, Andy, wherever you are, that you enjoy the stories we're about to tell of your remarkable life, and that you can let loose with that infectious, mischievous laugh of yours. And so let's get started and celebrate the life of Andy Worrall. It's okay to have a cry today, and certainly to have a good laugh. I've done most of my crying in France over the past 7 weeks since Andy rang me and said he wasn't going to make it. But I know that today will feel raw for those who are speaking, and no doubt some of us will have the odd difficult moment up front. I first met Andy briefly in 1984 at an under-21 Colts tournament when I was playing for Auckland, and Andy was a bearded 16-year-old schoolboy with a memorable laugh in the North Shore rep side, and we were all staying at the same motel. He was much hairier than I'd expected. The following year I transferred to the Takapuna Club and from Auckland to North Harbour. We played more than a decade of club and rep hockey together. Andy's been one of my best friends throughout these 40 years since 1985. As so many of you will also have experience with Andy, the friendship was instant. A few weeks ago, Andy showed me a letter I'd written as a character reference for him 36 years ago, in late 1989, when he was applying for his first teaching job at Rangitoto College. Joe and Andy wanted me to share with you what I'd written in that character reference. Keep in mind that the Andy I described in this letter was just 21 at the time. I was quite stunned last month about what I'd written, somewhat amazed with the benefit of hindsight that the 21-year-old Andy I described was no different to the 30, 40 or 50-year-old Andy we've all subsequently known. So this was my character reference for the youthful Andy when he was finishing up his uni qualifications. Andy Worrall is a trusted friend, and I've played hockey with him for 5 years. He has a maturity well beyond his years, and most importantly, he enjoys people. Andy Worrall is one of the best hockey players in his country, and he has represented his province and New Zealand with distinction. Despite his relative youth, Andy is one of the more experienced North Harbour representative players. He is a role model for younger boys who play hockey on the North Shore. He regularly coaches a schoolboy club team and has also participated in a hockey coaching program for school children in the Auckland area. I believe that Andy Worrall's two greatest assets are his sense of humour and his keen judgment of human nature and emotion. As a result, and also because he has played sport and socialised with adults as a teenager, Andy has natural, albeit self-effacing, leadership qualities. He has a personality. He suffers fools readily and makes outsiders feel at ease. He is fair and presents a reasoned argument, and he has a greater cultural sensitivity than most. Andy has coped well with the administrative chores of running an amateur sport, and has those rare qualities of patience and persistence on administrative committees. He was instrumental in the establishment of a new hockey club on the North Shore this year. He's not afraid of hard work, and he is efficient with his time. I've followed Andy Worrall's academic studies with interest, and I believe that he has a genuine interest in his geography and English studies at university, which goes well beyond merely obtaining a degree. Andy has a love of English literature, which no doubt contributes to his articulate command of the English language. He is the only sportsman I know who writes and reads poetry to his teammates. I have the highest respect for Andy Worrall. I regularly seek his advice and I enjoy his company. Andy will be an excellent teacher, and I believe that one day he will be a leader in education. I wish him well in his career. Well, I wasn't wrong, was I? On reflection, I'm also relieved and grateful 36 years later that I didn't perjure myself with that letter. Andy messaged me a couple of weeks ago and said, "Just thinking I might need that reference at the pearly gates. Please send a copy." Our first family speaker is Joe and Andy's younger son, Toby, or to be truly correct, Tobias. And Toby, I have to say that Tobias is such a cool name, and I can't believe I only joined the dots yesterday. Toby will read the speech that Andy had written himself recently for this send-off. Andy had planned to either video or voice record this speech, but in the end, that became simply too difficult. I think it's very special, Toby, that you will read this speech written by your dad.
Welcome everyone. I'm so excited to have people from all parts of my life here together to share stories and laughter. I feel incredibly privileged that you've turned up. I really want this to be more than just a few speeches followed by a sausage roll or two. I want you to step out of your comfort zone and ask people you don't know how they knew me and what they remember. So, I guess the great umpire or judiciary of the universe has decided it's my time for a final sending off. And of course, I disagree with the decision. My wife, Jo, and perhaps some of my teammates and colleagues would attest to my stubbornness, competitive nature, or as I like to think, determination. I wanted to have my say to you all. This habit of wanting to be heard both on and off the hockey field may have got me in trouble, but here goes anyway. No doubt you've heard or will hear some stories about me, or maybe reflecting on your time with me. I won't traverse all those family rituals, travel adventures, parties, dinner parties, flats, events, glorious wins, delivered projects, tournaments, crazy bosses, meetings, or times of hilarious fun, but more wanted to share some of my thoughts and lessons from life. Lesson 1. Giving is receiving. Thanks to Mum and Dad who role modeled that it's critical to help or enable others when you can. The support we've received going through this illness has been incredibly humbling. Thank you to those who have stepped up with meals, working bees, phone calls, messages, and visits. You may never know the impact you've had on people, both positive and negative. My why has always been enabling others. I guess that's why I started off my career in teaching and onto project and change management. I also love to coach. All in my book were about supporting others to make their workplace, organization, team culture, performance, their life better. It has given me so much pleasure and joy to see others succeed. More importantly, to be humbled by the support and genuine enablement of me from others. Joe constantly pushing me to be better. My coaches and mates for taking no prisoners when I needed to be pulled into line, or colleagues who coached and mentored me along the way. The number one giver in our family, Joe, needs to be acknowledged here. I don't know how you've done all that you've done. Lesson 2. Be thankful for what you have. My life has been a gift. It's about the quality of the people you surround yourself with and the team you build. I guess at times the "I'm not here for a long time, but a good time" mentality didn't always serve me, but it was great fun. Jo, who has been my rock and savior. Some of you will know she's tenacious, but she's been fighting harder than me through this leukemia journey. Her love and care of me, despite my many flaws, has been humbling. All my love, sweetheart. My incredible kids, Ella, Oscar, and Toby. I'm so proud of you. You're just such great humans, and you know how much I love you. My family. Mom, Rich and Ann, Pete and Jen, thank you for your love and support, and I know you'll take care of my team. My mates, some of which I've had for nearly 50 years. Thank you for all the good times, walks, quiet beers, one too many reds, and for sharing your families. Your support for me and my crew has been astonishing. The awesome Harbour hockey community. Hockey was a large part of my life and shaped who I became. Why I coached teams or went on boards wasn't just my passion for hockey, but for how a community could provide a sense of purpose, pride, and connection, particularly for young people. The many colleagues I worked with. I was incredibly humbled to work with and learn from such smart and dedicated people. Shout out to the team at Fonterra who understand it's about people first. Lesson 3, my beliefs. Me, I've been to a few funerals in my time, but I haven't always got a sense of the essence of that person's life and their deep-seated beliefs about it. A few songs, a prayer, a poem, a couple stories kind of help, but here goes. My belief is that we know virtually nothing of the rich and infinite complexity of existence and our reason for being here. My faith is that everything is part of a larger plan. Socrates argues in his Apology that no one knows whether death may not be the greatest of all blessings for a man, yet men fear it as if they knew it was the greatest of all evils. He also suggests that a full life in itself should be enough. Christianity speaks of trust, faith, forgiveness, and love being the path to salvation. In quantum mechanics, the quantum superposition theory argues that atoms and photons can exist in two places at once. It also suggests there could be parallel universes. Some of you will have heard of the multiverse theory, made popular more recently by Marvel. It's a theoretical concept that suggests our observable universe is just one of many, potentially infinite universes that could exist parallel in a larger reality. In Star Wars, Yoda explains to Luke that the Force is an energy field that surrounds and binds all living things, creating and sustaining life. He teaches that luminous beings we are, not this crude matter, and that true strength comes from feeling and being connected to this energy. What does this all mean? I like to think that I've moved on to a new realm, but am part of and connected to what's happening in this one. We learn the lessons from this life and are reunited to those who have gone before. If you want a vision of what that's like in reality, imagine me sitting on a deck or in a pavilion rather like this, with my dad and mates like Adi and Greasy, watching a sports game, sharing stories, and a couple of refreshing beverages. I know that soon I'll be with my loved ones again in this new realm, but for now, I watch over them.
Thank you, Toby. Quite the writer and philosopher. Andy used to come around home when we were at uni and read his poetry to my mother, who was an English teacher. And now Andy's two brothers, Pete and Richard, will share with us Andy's career and family background and some stories of growing up with Andy.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Pete and this is Rich, and we're Andy's brothers, and here today to celebrate Andy's life and talk about our life with Andy and how important he was to us. But before we kick off, some thanks. Harbour, Michelle, thank you. Terence, really appreciate your help today, making it happen. Fantastic. It was Andy's choice to hold it here, and so thanks for facilitating that. John, thanks for getting here. It was Andy's choice again. Really appreciate that. But lastly, thanks to all of you for coming today. We're all here for different reasons, whether it was work or friends or family or hockey. We all share one thing in common, and that was what Andy meant to us. You're up, mate.
Sorry. I've got some words to say, but I just want to say, typically modest of Andy to think that this place would hold everyone who would come here today. So Andy was born on the 13th of March 1968 at North Shore Hospital. He was the youngest son of Jill and John. At various times while growing up, we also had foster sisters, Eloise, Carla and Melissa. As a family, we lived at the top of Aberdeen Road in a house Jill and John built in 1960. And then from 1975 at 50 Castor Bay Road, a home that served 3 generations over the next 45 years. Andy was a shore boy, attending Campbell's Bay Primary, Murrays Bay Intermediate, Westlake Boys High School, and his children later attended the same schools.
Andy left school and went on to Auckland Uni. He graduated with a BA majoring in geography in 1989, and after attending Teachers Training College, he took a job at Rangitoto College. You might hear a bit from Mum or Jill about Andy having a pretty laid-back approach when he was at school and uni. Just enough was what he said. However, look, once he found work, and particularly teaching, he really found his niche. He remained passionate about geography, and Joe tells us that we'd go on family walks and Andy would do the geography lesson. Andy met Joe in 1997 and they married in the same year. Andy took a break from Rangi and he and Joe spent a year teaching in Melbourne, returning in 1999. Andy came back and worked at Rangi again, and he progressed to head of department in geography. While he was there, he coached hockey and helped Rangi develop a strong hockey program. Ella was born in 2000 and Oscar followed in 2001.
Andy left Rangi in 2002 and worked briefly for Sport North Harbour before he joined Multiserve, which later became Cognition, where he worked doing curriculum development and new school project management. Andy and Joe left New Zealand with a young family in 2006 to work in Saudi Arabia and then in the United Arab Emirates, supporting the setup of new schools, a program Cognition were developing and delivering. Tobias, their third child, was born in 2007 when they were in the UAE.
Once Andy returned to New Zealand in 2012, he progressed into project and change management, working variously for Health Benefits, Fletchers, Orana Tamariki, Mercy Ascot and Fonterra. In the latter part of his career, he worked on a consultancy basis as a director of his business, Vox Consulting. Andy challenged himself to continue to develop, and he continued his studies while working, obtaining a master's degree in leadership from Massey in 2018. The range of organisations Andy worked for was a testimony to his skills and the wisdom he had developed. Andy's calm, collaborative approach was highly effective in helping businesses to define their strategy and then navigate the changes needed to step change their business performance.
I've already learned a few secrets about Andy today, well, not so many secrets, aspects of him that he didn't necessarily show to us. But it was only in reading Andy's CV that I really appreciated the reach and responsibility he held in his working life. He was always modest about his work and his achievements. His work wisdom was shared with my wife Emma and I at times when we were navigating our own careers and organisations. And although Andy developed a great understanding of business, organisations, and how to make them work, I like to think it was the so-called soft skills. Those are the ones that are hard to learn and more of a gift. And understanding and working with people that were likely his special power.
So Andy worked with Roger Brady at Health Benefits and Fletcher's, and Roger shared some thoughts today that we thought we would pass on. I first met Andy 10 years ago when we worked together at Health Benefits. Important and very challenging work. We also worked together at Fletcher Building. Although our time together was all too brief, Andy has left an indelible mark on my life. He's a role model that I've tried to emulate. I was immediately struck by how much respect Andy received and he gave to his teammates and other stakeholders. Senior health sector leaders appreciated his commitment, knowledge, experience and counsel. He was very successful in designing and leading change wherever he worked. Even when under pressure, and that was often, I never once heard him raise his voice or bruise anyone. Andy had great interpersonal skills and high integrity. He trusted people and was fair and kind to everyone. In summary, Andy was a gentleman in the real meaning of the word, a gentleman, in an age where this is all too rare.
Andy grew up in a family where playing sport was a given. From a young age, we all played cricket and rugby at the local Takapuna clubs, and then school. Johnny, our father, coached all of us at some stage. It was in his final year of primary school, waiting on the sideline while I was practicing hockey. We were both going off to gymnastics club after hockey. That his future mate, Mark Dempster, encouraged him to pick up a stick and join the older boys. And he never looked back. Progressing through first 11 and regional reps, national and under 21 and national masters representative level. He made many friends along the way, as you're going to hear. He found his place at fullback, reading the game, anticipating attacks, and leading opposition players into tight spots. As a player in his prime, he resisted overtures to move back to play for Auckland, even though the politics of the time meant that this hampered his chances for higher honours.
Andy also helped with the development of the game here on the shore and harbour, being part of the crew that brought harbour hockey together as a full association. He chaired both the association and the charitable trust that owns the facility here. Hockey New Zealand recognised his service with a silver award, and he was made a life member here at Harbour in 2021. He continued playing and even had the chance to play with Oscar and Toby, and his niece Ruby has followed his footsteps into hockey. You'll hear much more about hockey today, but Rich and I were sitting in the stands down here watching a PHL game last season, and one of the defenders came along and stripped the ball off one of the attackers with a little hip within the law hip shimmy, and someone behind us went, that's a great was move. Classic was move. And I don't think he realised that Rich and I were Andy's brothers. There you go, Rich, you're up, mate. sorry.
And I heard people saying Andy was a harbour hockey legend. I didn't actually realise that was a real thing, and he's actually on the board. He's on that board 3 times. Sorry. Growing up in our family, Andy was a sunny, funny boy who liked dressing up, jokes, magic tricks and cuddles. He enhanced an extended family photo at the last minute, putting in his Dracula fangs. Our first house, 217 East Coast Road, put us in a neighbourhood of young families with the school and, for our family, the local Anglican church at the centre of the community. We were counting the other day the number of families that we used to visit on a regular basis and realised how connected and social it was at that time. The Bakers, the Preston Thomases, the Vernons and the Sneeds in particular became close friends with whom we shared holidays. And the Vernons and the Sneeds attained auntie and uncle status. I recall when Jilly went to the UK in 1977, and that was quite a big deal back then. She was away for quite a long time, making the most of it. And Andy and I were required to call in at 74 Aberdeen Road, that was the Sneed's house, for a dose of vitamins, some nicer sandwiches than we'd made for ourselves, and sometimes a clean shirt. We also had regular weekend events at Stanley Point with grandparents, Kay and Dave, aunt and uncle, and cousins Tim, Jan and Michael. And holidays at Ohope with Kay's extended family. And as teenagers, adult-free tramping expeditions up the Waimana River.
At Castor Bay, the carport was the place to hone your hockey and cricket skills. We had an 18-yard pitch with a two-step run-up. By the time we were at the end of school, you needed full armour. Because there was no limits on pace or bounces. And for those of you who had been to Castor Bay, you'll remember the carport had a sort of a cedar pelmet, so if you wanted the bowl leggy, it had to be fast and flat. And that became Andy's stock delivery for the rest of his career. Shop placement was essential to avoid the GA 504, the trusty rusty Toyota Corolla we all learned to drive in. Inside edges might have resulted in a few dents and insurance claims, as did the shot that there's still some debate about that went through two windows in one go.
Who played that?
You're up again.
We had holidays at the family batch at Lake Tarawera, where we were set free and allowed to swim, boat, fish and explore, only called home for meals by the whistle. Sometimes you couldn't hear the whistle. We learned independence and to depend on our brothers. And that feeling that your brothers are always there for you has persisted throughout our lives. Our parents bought us a catamaran and we learned to sail it at Mangawhai, where we holidayed with the Sneeds. Those boats were fast and exciting for two sailors, and we'd take turns at the helm, pushing the limits and sometimes beyond, squeezing hip to hip, trying to keep the boat from digging in that leeward bow. In our teens, we'd fit a sail in around sport, increasingly with a wider circle of friends. And when I think back about towing the boat, a wide catamaran, to the beach or Lake Pupuki as a 16-year-old new driver, I shudder a bit. But our parents supported us to take risks, learn and have fun.
As a teenager, Andy was popular and loved to party. The downstairs at Castor Bay became a place where we as teenagers could play music, have friends over, and enjoy ourselves. As elder brothers, Rich and I like to think we blazed the trail with Jilly and Johnny to accept the usual teenage adventures of loud music, parties, staying out late, alcohol and girls. But to be fair, Andy did some blazing of his own.
Sorry.
Later, each of us would return to stay at Castor Bay when we were between houses or returning from overseas. And Andy's family came back from the UAE, staying downstairs for a while. When Andy announced his engagement to Jo, we hadn't really had the chance to meet her. But from the start it was clear that she was the one for him. And not only was he the first of us to get married, but the first of us to have children. We've been lucky to have children together of the same age. And as Andy and Jo's, and the strong whānau bond our whānau has is carried on to the next generation of cousins.
So we've heard about Andy's sport, his education, his work and his early life. But Andy's own family, with Jo, Oscar, Ella and Toby and beloved dog Bo, became the centre of his world. Unsurprisingly, we watched Andy and Jo become wonderful parents, and his children becoming the lovely human beings they are. And they'll have a chance to talk about him next. Sorry. One enduring memory I have of him is his warm welcome hug on arrival at his and Jo's place.
Okay. And then him standing at the barbie with the backdrop of the beautiful garden, turning sausages with the family hubbub going on around him. We both feel like we've been ripped off, having Andy stolen from us too early. However, we feel incredibly grateful for the time we did have with Andy. He was a great brother, friend and mate. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete and Richard. Jo.
Thank you all for coming here today. To John for travelling back from Europe. Andy organised a big part of today, and we all knew that he wanted John to MC, but he hadn't asked John. So so thank you so much, John, and to everybody else who's travelled. Friends and family, people who've come from Australia and from all over New Zealand, so thank you. I'd also just like to thank our incredible friends and family, especially to those that have gone above and beyond to support us through the last 14 months. They've been the toughest. Andy. I remember our first date, January 29th, 1997. He arrived to pick me up before I was ready, and so we chatted as I finished my makeup. We just clicked. Our conversation was easy. I felt a deep sense of calm. He felt like home. I just knew. He told me he knew too. 6 weeks later in March, Andy proposed. We married that December at Tawhanui, promising to live a life of passion, dreams and adventure. It was the happiest and most fun day of my life. 10 days later, we packed our bags and moved to Melbourne. Andy had a job teaching English and PE at Eston East Keilor College, and I began my diploma in remedial massage at the Melbourne College of Natural Medicine. It's my first year as a student in over 10 years. And I remember struggling to focus one day when I was studying for my first exams. I called in Andy, my teacher, to help. He just looked at me and said, "Let your fear be your motivator." And then he wandered back into the lounge to watch the cricket. The lesson, Face what scares you. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Andy saw potential in me that I didn't always see in myself, and I'm sure many of you here can relate to that. Enabling others was one of Andy's greatest strengths. We returned to New Zealand in 1999. I guess you could say our biological clock was ticking, and we felt New Zealand was the right place to be. We shared a vision for ensuring the stability and the security of our family, with me at home and Andy taking on the role as provider. We were excited and ready for this new chapter. February 2000 saw the arrival of Ella, our firstborn, so beautiful with big blue eyes like her dad. We were proud and doting parents. In December 2001, Oscar arrived, so gorgeous and cheeky. Life was full, fun and rewarding. We embraced parenthood with all its joys and challenges. We had 2 clever and beautiful children, and we were all in. Play centre, birthday parties, play dates, hanging out with the cousins and good friends. Saturdays at the hockey turf, dads on the field, the mums chatting in the clubhouse while the kids ran free. Special times spent at Castor Bay, and so many unforgettable Whuratoa Beach holidays. In 2006, an opportunity arose for Andy to join an education reform project in the Middle East with Cognition Education. We packed up our home, ready to be part of a team in Qatar. Just weeks before we were due to leave, the contract year rolled over, and with no new boys' school openings and cultural restrictions preventing Andy from working in a girls' school, our plans came to a halt. Then a last-minute and unexpected offer came up for a single consultant at Al Bassam, a small private school in Saudi Arabia. Not quite what we had planned. But our desire for adventure was greater than our fear of the unknown. So we left, with 6-year-old Ella and Oscar 4 in tow. Just weeks after arriving in Saudi, we discovered I was pregnant. Far from home and in a foreign country, this is not the news I was expecting or prepared for. But Andy, in true style, just smiled at me and said, "I always wanted 3. And just like that, my worries were put to rest. Saudi life was an adventure to say the least. Both Ella and Oscar attended Al Bassam. I spent my days there as well, volunteering to create educational resources for the school. And as they were immersed in an almost full Arabic curriculum, I supported Ella and Oscar's learning through the New Zealand Correspondence School. Every 3 to 4 weeks, we would escape driving across the 25-kilometre King Fahd causeway that connected Saudi Arabia to Bahrain. There we would catch a movie, eat a sushi lunch, visit Toys R Us, and then relax for an afternoon at Trader Vic's. Andy would enjoy a beer while Ella and Oscar had the freedom to run and play on the beach, and for me it was a chance to relax without needing to be covered up by my abaya. Our trips to Bahrain provided a brief but reviving sense of normality and freedom before we crossed back over the causeway to the restrictions of Saudi life. We lived in Dammam Towers, a large 1970s apartment building in the eastern province of Dammam. Without the comforts of an expat compound, many daylight hours were passed walking the often empty hallways with Ella and Oscar on rollerblades. We were the only Westerners. Our neighbours were primarily from Lebanon, Syria and Egypt. It was a huge culture shock. And despite the kindness of our neighbours and our work colleagues, the challenges were many. But it cemented our family unit, and it was an experience that enriched our lives and had a lasting impact. In July 2007, Andy was offered a role as an associate, then later project director, in an education reform project in Abu Dhabi. 7 weeks after landing in Abu Dhabi, sweet, darling Toby was born. Needless to say, he was adored by us all. It was an exciting time for us as a family. We were living in the heart of the city on the 11th floor of Kaladir Towers, now with predominantly Kiwi neighbours that were also part of the Cognition crew. Abu Dhabi was rapidly expanding. It was daunting, exciting, challenging and rewarding, all at the same time. Andy was doing a job that he loved. He said it was a challenge with ever-shifting sands, and at its peak he managed over 180 staff, delivering education reform in over 30 schools. The people were great, and I know it was a role in which he felt he made a difference. Ella and Oscar attended a small British international school, and it wasn't long before we became ensconced in an expat community that became our home for the next 5 years. Highlights of our Abu Dhabi days: being proud Kiwi ambassadors, blue skies every day, beach clubs, water parks, shopping malls, Christmases and curry nights with our extended expat Kiwi family, camping in the desert, hosting our family and friends when they came to visit, exploring the beauty of Oman, and travelling with our 3 kids in Europe, which included several trips to London, Spain, France and Italy, a trip to Jordan visiting Petra, and travelling the King's Highway to the Dead Sea. In 2012, we returned home to New Zealand, another culture shock, but over time we settled back into life on the North Shore, raising our family, diving back into the full immersion of Kiwi culture, house renovations, kids' sport, barbecues, our new puppy Bo, camping, and the simple pleasures of hours in the garden and our shared love of cooking and good food. Andy coached Toby, along with Kerry Maunda. They co-coached Toby and his hockey teams from year 1 at Campbell's Bay Primary through to year 8 at Murray's Bay Intermediate. Their team won every division they played. He also played alongside Oscar for ABC for 6 years, and in 2021 got to play not only with his mates, but with both Oscar and Toby and his team. He said it was a privilege and he was so proud of them both. Life with Andy was rich and fulfilling. He had a great sense of humour. We laughed a lot. He was one of the smartest people I knew. He was the guy you wanted on your trivia team, and thankfully he was always on mine. He was interested in people, and just like his dad, John, he never spoke badly of others. He focused on positives. Andy had a way with words. His energy and laughter filled the room. He was strong, determined, and hardworking. Andy got things done. As many of you know, he was a hockey legend, but he was so humble. I didn't know that for a very long time. Andy was my person. He made me stronger. He was my protector, and he was kind, and his love was unconditional. When he received a diagnosis of MDS in September 2024, he set the tone. He was going to be okay. And so we moved forward into what would become the most challenging year of our life with an unwavering mindset. We had the dream team, Richard and his perfect match of stem cells, the compassionate team of Dr. Robin and Trish Kelly, who went above and beyond, our amazing naturopath Katie Boyd, who guided us with the best nutrition, the dedicated haematology team and nursing staff at both Auckland and North Shore hospitals, plus the incredible friends who showed up again and again and again. Andy's colleagues at Fonterra, a special group of people who had held space for him and us during this time. And of course, our amazing kids. There wasn't a moment of fear or doubt, not one little bit, and we gave it our all. And he smashed it. On July 26, just 100 days after his stem cell transplant, Andy was given the all clear, cancer-free, cured. Then, just as life began to feel almost normal again, things took an unexpected turn. Life dealt Andy and all of our family and our friends a cruel blow. In his final months, Andy demonstrated a strength that was, as always, unshakable. He faced what was before him with bravery, courage, and love. In losing Andy, we've lost us and everything we were supposed to be. But I'm so grateful for his love, the adventures, and all the very ordinary days we shared together. Just the two of us, then the 3, 4, and 5 of us. Ella, Oscar, and Toby, Dad's love for you far exceeds the days he lived. It wasn't measured in time, but in the way he showed up for us. I know the best of him will live on in each of you, in your strength, your courage, your humour, your compassion, in the way you challenge yourself, and in your heart. He's there. He's with us always, and he's so incredibly proud.
Thanks, Joe. What a truly remarkable adventure and love story you and Andy have had together. And such an incredibly tight, rock-solid, loving family unit of 5 that you've built. Joe and Andy's oldest son, Oscar, will share some of the memories and experiences that he, Ella and Toby have had with Dad as a dad.
Hello everyone. Just following on from Mum. Ooh, this thing moves. I just want to say a huge thank you for all of you for being here today, and as well just the support that you've shown us as and our family over the past year, and especially the past few weeks. Has, you know, we can't appreciate it enough. So just a massive thank you. But now to Andy. So growing up, we were very lucky to have a childhood filled with adventure, laughter, and moments that Dad made very special. I've got very fond memories as kids of Dad dragging us behind on boogie boards as we raced up and down Wheretoa Beach, or adventures around the bay and stick races down the estuary. Or we would cling to Dad's back as he plunged and dived lengths of the pool, not realising the effort that it took, but just thinking he was our dad and he could do anything. He gave me many first experiences and how-tos, not just about life, but how to strum a guitar, how to hold a hockey stick and throw a rugby ball, how to structure my English essays, reports and speeches, how to find the perfect balance between releasing the clutch and putting my foot on the pep. And that was also bundled with the lesson of how to remain calm as I bunny hopped the old Toyota Corolla around North Harbour Hockey Car Park at 8 p.m. at night. Dad was a doer. He was blessed with the very dominant DIY gene in the Worrall family. An outdoors man. He cherished time away on roadies, camping, beach days, or taking after his old man and curating a beautiful garden at home. And he easily took top prize year after year for best hand in the family by the end of summer. I was fortunate enough to play 7.5 seasons with Dad through youth and senior men's hockey, and I'm honoured to say that I shared the field with him as a teammate, a coach, a leader, and the most reliable flat stick tackler I've ever seen. And notably, Dad, Toby and I had the opportunity to play 2 seasons together at ABC with a lot of our and Dad's friends. And it's a special moment in time for us, and it meant a lot to me and Toby, but it meant everything to Dad. I loved our chats in the car on the way home from hockey, debriefs about the game, plans for how we would spend our Sunday afternoon, and agreeing not to tell Mum how many beers we, in particular, Dad had in the club room with the fellas. Just the usual routine. He was an excellent chef, Dad. He was the legend at whipping up the best strangled together dinners when all the rest of us complained that there was nothing left in the fridge. He consistently executed curries, burgers, fajitas, hash browns, and omelettes. He was never a letdown in the kitchen or on the ox court either, showing me the world of Dire Straits, Van Morrison, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and particularly Dave Dobbin as well. He was funny, and his humour was typically in peak form at the dinner table. Random facts, marginal accent impressions, and classic dad jokes. It was questionable whether most of the time us kids were laughing with or at him. But he was a good sport, and he was just happy to be with us. I love the memories of Dad stretched out on the couch for a sunny afternoon nap, and he often had his head in some sort of detective thriller book. He loved to hang out with his family and his friends, to meet new people. He always had a curiosity and a genuine interest in others. He was an ear when one needed a listener, an advisor when one needed words of encouragement. And he didn't need much to have a good time. Dad was always just happy to be there. Losing a father or a parent is a tough challenge and a time in all of our lives at any stage. And I know that a part of Dad has always been with me and with us, but that part of him is now more profound and stronger than ever. Reflecting, I feel very privileged to have learnt a number of critical lessons from Dad that I will continue to embrace throughout my life. Some of which he has had the pleasure to already share with you today, but I thought I would share a few more from myself in memory of him. Lesson 1 is be there and be there first. Be the first to the ball, secure it, and look for an outlet. In Waz's case, that was a full field hit to one of his strikers. Dad didn't like to be late. He was always the first in the car for a family outing. He'd often had the car backed out the driveway, turned around, fully packed, before either of us or any of us had the opportunity to get dressed or hop out the shower. Going first takes courage. The first to speak out, to lend a hand, and to act, but the world gives back to those who initiate. Lesson 2 is get the basics done right. Trap and pass the ball. Greet and farewell with handshakes, hugs, and kisses, and always use your manners. Dad took care of his own home first, and he never commented on the state of others. And some days, the basics are just about putting one foot in front of the other, and that's enough. Lesson 3 is do everything with intention. Dad always had a plan, whether it was how he was going to transfer the pile of mulch from the bottom to the top garden, or transport his family halfway across the world. There was a vision behind every decision that he made. Dedicate and sacrifice with intention. If you truly understand what drives you, the reasons why we wake up in the morning, and what fuels our fire throughout the day, regret won't meet you often down your path. Lesson 4, and this is a quick one and one that I have failed time and time again. If you're ever playing against your dad by chance in an old boys or an AD game, do not try and dribble past him. Because he will tackle you effortlessly every single time, in which he did. And lesson 5 is listen. Listen to the music that feeds our souls and urges us to dance. Listen to the dawn chorus, how the birds tweet, sing, laugh and squawk from morning till night. listen to your mother, because even when she's wrong, she is always right. And lastly, listen to your moral compass. Be guided by your gut and the values that you've learnt on your own or inherited from the lessons of those before you. Dad, I want to thank you for all of your sacrifices. You were a lot of fun, and I think it would do us all a little good if we took a page out of Andy's book. I know you're smashing it up there now, rethinking, designing, and shaping the astral plane to leave it in a better place than when you arrived. But it was an honour to be guided by you in this world, and I know that I'll be side by side with you in the next. I love you.
Thanks, Oscar. And now Andy's mother, Jill Worrall, or Mrs. Worrall as I used to know you, will say a few words.
Oh my goodness, it's a big step.
There are steps around here, Jill.
Oh,
Yeah, come around this way.
well, that's easier. Thanks. That's good. Oh, here I am at last. I was told there were absolutely no steps. It would be about this high, and even though you're in the 80s, Mum, you'll manage it just easy. Well, I didn't. Anyway, listening to all this as Andy's mother, what can I say? I'm trying to think of something that hasn't already been said about my beautiful son. But as the person who has known him longest in his all too short life, I've got the long view. He was a surprise. Well, they said this one might be a girl. But he was the last in a trio of great boys, and he continued to surprise us. He was loved by everyone from his first smile. He had, believe it or not, a real snowball of hair, lots of it, and big blue eyes. As was already been said, he was always wanting a cuddle and later a hug. And as Joe described him, loving, most kind, fun-loving, and I add compassionate. He was competitive, and as already been said, not academically. A C is good enough, Mum, as he'd lay on the couch watching the telly the night before his university exam. And I'd say, Andy, you've got an exam tomorrow. And he'd say, I know, sure, Mum. Well, he was right. But he was competitive in keeping up with his brothers. We lived first in a split-level house that had stairs, about 8 or 9 of them. And the couch cushions were stacked at the bottom, and the competition was who could jump the longest from the highest stair. Andy, 5 years younger than Pete, so probably about 4 or 5, was told he could only jump from halfway, but not to be beaten, he would take a long run down the hall, launch from the top stair, and land on the cushions. See, Mum, I can do it. As he grew, it was competitive about cricket, wrestling, and all those things boys do. As has been mentioned from time to time, we were a foster family, and it was always Andy who made them welcome. Shared his bedroom, put up with the extra attention given to them, and maybe time taken that should have been his. But even when he was young, he was kind, and he understood what they needed. In the holidays, they would go out surveying with his dad, all the boys did, and they'd be chopping gorse, holding the chain, and having good dad time, and the occasional pie. When I said that to Rich, he said, Rich said all he remembered was peanut butter sandwiches and wrinkled apples. Well, Andy was the youngest, he got the pie. He was always bringing mates home from primary school to university, often those who needed a bit of TLC. Our place seemed to be a pit stop for Weet Bix and bread top-ups, and okay if they stay for dinner, Mum. In his teenage years, I know he got up to mischief that he thought I didn't know about, but I'm sure some of you know more than I do. I was a late starter at university, and we were there at the same time. In fact, we graduated together across the stage, and the man who was donning us with our cap said, "Related? Son," I said. "Get back here," he said. But while I was there at the same time, his mates would say, "Coming to the pub, Andy's mum?" His mates would ask after lectures. "Yes, come, Mum." Who else asks their mother to come to the pub with their mates? When he was flatting, he would ring up and say, "Are you home tonight if I come round?" When the boys did this, we would wonder if they wanted to move back between flats or need a loan. One night, he came in, sat down, and said, "I've come to tell you I'm engaged." "Engaged?" we said. Who on earth to, we wondered. He hadn't brought anyone round for the dinner, the usual process. He disappeared and brought in the lovely Jo. "Love at first sight," he said. At this point, I want to thank Jo for the wonderful way she cared for Andy throughout their marriage, but particularly during the whole course of his illness, never leaving his side, special food, anticipating his needs right throughout his illness. I never once heard him complain or say, "Why me?" You have both been so brave. Thank you so much from his family who love you both. Lastly, I was told I had to keep it short, by the way. Keep it short, Mum, they said. Lastly, my memory of him will always be coming in my front door. "Hi, Mum," giving me the biggest hug, sitting down for a chat, spending time. He knew what I needed. He lived close to me at Knightsbridge Village, and if I needed something fixed, he would pop round. One evening at happy hour, I dislocated my elbow. It's not how you thought. He came to the hospital and he stayed with me through the whole process. At 1 a.m, still waiting for the plasterer, I said, "Go home, Andy, you've got work tomorrow." He said, "I'm not leaving you, Mum." There is a beautiful Maori proverb that says it all. I bought my husband's hanky. It says, "Hutio te rio o te harakiki. Kei hei te komako e koake. Ki mai ko eki ahau. He aha te mea nui o te ao. Maki e ki atu. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata." The centre of the flats has been pulled. Where is the bellbird, the song? You ask me, what are the important things of the world? I replied forcefully, it is people, it is people, it is people. And that was Andy, strong, funny, compassionate and loving, never putting himself first. He made the most of the God-given life he had, living it with energy, intelligence, integrity, wisdom, and a great love for others and for life itself. We are so lucky to have had him in our lives, and it's been a privilege to be his mum. Thank you. Oh dear.
Thank you, Jill. There's an incredibly consistent hockey theme that is threaded through Andy's life and across so many of his friendships. Pete Escott and Ashton Welsh, two of Andy's closest mates, will share with us Andy's lifelong passion for hockey.
Okay, thanks, Johnny. Joe and Ella and Oscar and Toby have asked us to talk about Woz and his hockey life. Just extended that a little bit to also his sporting life. We also promised that we'll stay on script. Apparently the last time we spoke together, which was at Andy's wedding, we didn't. So we're gonna do our best. However, I do remember one phone call when I was living in Melbourne, and the phone call went something like this. I picked it up. Larry, Wazza, how you going? Good. How are you? Good. Our conversation sometimes didn't get quite that deep, but for the moment, he said to me, I've got some great news. I said, what's that, mate? And he says, I'm getting married. And I said, Wazza, that's fantastic. He said, I'd like you and Ash to be the best men. And I said, that I would be honoured, mate. That's so exciting. Who are you marrying?
That seems to be a bit of a common theme. Funny you should say that. I was fortunate enough to meet Jo a little earlier because she became a frequent visitor at the flat that I was sharing with Wazza at the time. It's an honour and a privilege to be standing up here with Pete to give you all some insight into Woz and how he came to be a hockey legend. I first met Woz playing hockey back in Form 2 in 1981. That's year 8 for the millennials and Gen Zers in the room. He was fierce, skilled and determined back then, and we instantly became mates. I think it's safe to say that Woz was everyone's mate, unless, of course, you were an opposition forward trying to get past him on a hockey field. He was a Jedi master in defence. He was a pretty useful cricketer as well. Yeah,
in fact, I first met Andy on the cricket field. We were selected in a standard 4 with year 6 North Harbour cricket team. And that was the first time I walked across a white line with him. He was a pretty handy cricketer. He was an attacking batsman. He was a part-time leg spin bowler, and I would call him a wannabe fast bowler. But he was pretty handy, and we enjoyed that tournament. Much to our delight, he was at Campbell's Bay Primary, I was at Murray's Bay Primary. We ended up standing outside the same classroom at Murray's Bay Intermediate School the next year. And we thought it would be a great idea if we sat together. A day and a half later, the teacher didn't think it was such a great idea. And we were sitting on opposite sides of the room where we stayed for the rest of the year. It's a long time ago, obviously, but I'm pretty sure halfway through that year, Andy shaved his first beard off. From there, Andy, we played a few games. We played rep cricket together for North Harbour at the schoolboys tournament. He was a good cricketer, and Mr. Worrall, John, was our coach, and I feel very fortunate to have been coached by John. He was such a great coach and a first coach for me. But Ash, you also have some cricket memories with.
Well, I wouldn't say I have any highlights, not so much a highlight, but I do remember one time when he offered to bowl a bit of spin to me in the nets before I went out to bat. Unfortunately, I'd forgotten to put a box in, and Woz managed to bowl one straight through the gate into the Crown Jewels.
Yeah, just in case any of you are wondering, it's great to see Ash's children here today.
I think we should stick with the hockey.
Okay. So hockey was the sport where Woz was to make his real mark as a player, as a teammate, as an administrator, as a coach, as a mentor, as a champion, and ultimately as a legend of North Harbour hockey. But legends just aren't made from talent and titles, but through a rare blend of achievements, of character, of relationships, of actions, of impact, and also of enduring legacy. One of the great things about sport is that we have stats. And so, Ash, going to roll some numbers.
Sure thing. We've heard some of these already, but I think they warrant a second go. But Woz debuted in the North Shore Colts, or under-21 side, at 15 or possibly nearly 16. He was selected into the New Zealand under-21s, He played more than 400 games of senior club hockey. He was selected into the North Harbour men's team at the age of 17, and he played over 200 games from North Shore into morphing into North Harbour. He played in every North Harbour team that won promotion from the 4th Division, right up to the top tier of national competition at the time, which was Challenge Shield. He played Masters for North Harbour. He was a member of the title-winning 40s and 50s team, winning national titles. He was selected in the 45s New Zealand Masters team. More recently, he was a member of the 50s team that came third at the national tournament. And finally, was played in 21 out of 31 AD Memorial Games, which is quite considerable given that he also had a 6-year stint overseas.
So amazing stats for someone playing any sport. For those of you who don't know, AD was a hockey friend of ours as well who passed away in 1994. Those, as I said, some really great stats, but I think there's some other stats that are worth mentioning. Some of these are verified and some are not. Right. Team party and after-match attendance rate across 40 years.
100%.
Number of times called upon to play Santa at the hockey midwinter Christmas parties.
Every time.
Number of bottles of rum consumed with teammates.
95.
With a shout out to gin as a close second. This is actually verified. He has been voted the best ever impersonator of a guy called Jim Ignatowski from Taxi.
Just going to put an apology up for the Gen Zers and millennials in the group here who probably have no idea who you're talking about, but you can Google it.
Number of metres of strapping tape used during his career.
3.8 kilometres.
Number of tubes of deep heat used over his career.
102.
Number of Waz's teammates injured by friendly fire from Waz hitting a hockey ball at them.
Unconfirmed, but estimated to be north of 20.
Look, so let's talk about what made Waz a legend at North Harbour, other than his stats. On the field, let's start with his exceptional skills. As a defender, he was probably the best tackler of his time in New Zealand. And I see heads nodding around the place. He could tackle. There's an old saying which one of our coaches, Alwyn Riggs, used to preach to us about. The player could go past, the ball could go past, but never at the same time. The thing with Waz is nothing went past. He would come out with the ball, the player and his stick and play on as if nothing had ever happened. He could also hit a ball pretty hard, as has already been mentioned, and as will be mentioned a little bit later as well. But actually, Waz could hit a golf ball too. I'll never forget his legendary tee shot on the first hole of the Waiheke golf course. Not because it went 300 yards down the fairway or because it went in the hole, but because when he hit it, he was standing on a table inside the club rooms with the ball teed up on a paper cup and smashed it out through the ranch sliders.
Another exceptional skill was his ability to perform under pressure. Every game you could rely on him to do his job and to do it well. It didn't matter whether it was a club game or a North Harbour game. I recall the opening game of Challenge Shield where we played the defending champions Canterbury in the first game. We were the newbies in the top division, facing half the New Zealand team at the time. Wazza was on a mission. Anything in red and black that moved was stopped, blocked or repelled. We drew 1-1, which we thought was a pretty decent effort for newbies, although our coach at the time, Riggsy, gave us a good old serve for not winning the game. It was definitely a watershed moment for the North Harbour men's team, believing in itself that it deserved to be at the top of New Zealand men's hockey, and top tier. He was a bloke you could depend on and trust.
Talking about trust and something totally unrelated to hockey, I remember when Ash and Wazza came across to Melbourne. We were off to the Boxing Day test, and one afternoon we didn't go in that afternoon to the test match, and it was really hot, so we were rehydrating with a couple of boxes of Stella, and then vodka and lemonades, although for those who've had a drink with Wazza, sometimes the mixers run out early. Wazza and Ash had come across with buzz cuts for the trip, and both of them decided that my hair was too long and they were going to cut it. Wazza was on the operational side of things. He was doing the cutting, and Ash was doing the styling.
Bad.
As it turned out, after they'd gone home, I went to the barber and managed to get my haircut fixed with the number 2 comb. But anyway, sorry, back to hockey.
Yeah.
Next is about being a legend is, we think, resilience. As you know, he played for a long time. We're not actually sure the last time Wazza played without injury. He played injured for a long time. We've talked about sports tape at deep heat. It's fair to say that ice and the physio were also a couple of his best friends. Not to mention the endless supply of doTERRA oils and massages supplied by Joe to help keep him on the field.
Next up is a legend of sportsmanship. I was wondering if anyone else here thought it ironic that Andy's last gig here today is called a send-off, very close to a sending off. Andy was never shy in coming forward to provide assistance to refs and pointing out the opposition's mistakes.
I think it's important to say that we kind of felt at times that the refs were a bit on their own on the field, and they couldn't be expected to see everything. They just needed a bit of help at times.
That said, here's a note from one of those refs, Dave Potts, he's here, or online somewhere, but Andy was one of the greats to umpire, and whilst he had his own views on some things, he was always respectful and happy to have a beer after the game to chat about it.
I think Wazza was also so determined, and he played the game real hard. You know, if you've seen Waz with that headgear on, playing in defence, you know, it was famous, and he certainly didn't have it on as a fashion statement. He wasn't afraid to let the opposition know where they stood, or when needed, his own teammates. As GB said, he was a fierce competitor who never gave an inch.
Lastly, team culture played a huge part in Waz's DNA. He made a concerted effort in every team he played in to build and contribute to it. That was critical in the formative years of North Harbour when we had a significant influx of new players from around the country. And I think we'll be hearing a little bit more about that from Sharky near the end. I think that sums up Wazza as a legendary player. What's next?
Yeah, so I think when you're looking at a legend, it's what on the field, but also about that legend off the field.
Excellent. Shall we take a look at the good times spent at North Harbour Hockey's unofficial club rooms at 25 Blakeborough Drive, or Club Blakeborough as it was known? That was the flat where Waz and I moved in with Bill and Pauline after Heather and AD had moved out. A flat that you also know well, given you used to frequently visit with your six-pack of Joseph Coots Light and then proceed to tuck into Bill's premium beers.
Well, he was working for Lion at the time. I think when you look at it, Wazza gave an enormous amount back to the sport. Not thousands of dollars, but literally thousands of hours. We've already heard about it. He was on the board as a board member, 1993, 2002 to 2019. He was the board chair. He was on the Harbour Hockey Charitable Trust. He was the secondary division committee member and chairperson from 99 to 2003. And some of those skills that Andy had in his career, the consultancy work that he did, his project management work that he did, he was process and change management were such a great asset for an organisation like this. And talking to Sharon Williamson, I know that she really valued his support and his input around his practical and his pragmatic way of dealing with things when they were looking at the negotiations with New Zealand Hockey about how we were going to use this very facility that we're standing in now. So he made a real difference on all of those boards. He just didn't make up the numbers.
And I think it's already been touched on already, but obviously he was recognised with a Hockey New Zealand Service Award for his 20 years of service to the hockey. And obviously he's actually a legend of North Harbour hockey and a life member.
Oh yeah, I got it. And if that wasn't enough, he was also a mentor and a coach to many people in this room, and we've heard about how he coached you guys, and we're going to hear a bit more from DJ about that. I think the last part of being a legend is this enduring legacy, and Wazza has that in the North Harbour hockey community, but also well beyond that. Here's that legacy in the stories of some of his friends and teammates that we're going to read out.
First of all, just kicking off with Brent Edwards, or Eddie. I was a late selection for North Shore when I was very young. Wazza was one of the senior players in the team. My lasting memory was how welcome he made me feel both on and off the field. That smile and laugh. The fines meetings were brilliant, and he was such a good player, easily as good or better than the big names from the likes of Auckland and Canterbury.
From Mark Dempster, MD, I nervously sat in my tutorial room on my first day at Teachers College, and in walked Andy. It was the beginning of a long and memorable friendship. I felt a bit lost coming back home after 5 years away. The Harbour hockey boys were a close-knit group. It felt like Andy took me under his wing. We would frequent O'Neill's bar in Newmarket often. In fact, he would find places for us to stay so we didn't have to drive back over the bridge. One second. And find places to stay that night with people I hardly knew, and I'm pretty sure Andy didn't know them either. Those nights linked me to Wapiti, which was Bill's flat, and to ABC Hockey and on to Harbour. What a welcoming character with a big heart, someone who was always smiling, having a good time and leading the entertainment.
Quick note from Gary Bishop, GB. Woz loved everything about hockey and life in general. The game, the competition, his teammates, a drink afterwards, everything. He made sure everyone was a part of that, and the energy was infectious. You couldn't hang around with Wazza and not have a good time.
I'm from an old mate of his from school that he played hockey with, Gavin Reid, and Gav said he had a great zest for life. Some may use the phrase work hard and play hard. Yes, definitely play hard was Wazza. Whether it was a team talk or just a general chat on hockey, life or family, he had great enthusiasm and a positive way about him that was infectious.
And from Richard Redfern, Richie, the courage and determination to check himself out of hospital to say goodbye to his mates will always be part of his legacy. And a quick shout out there to the Vaudiers who hosted that party, which became a very special occasion for us all, and especially Paula, who couldn't be here today with us today, but I know she's watching on live stream. When Richie was thanking Andy for digging deep to come and say goodbye to us, Wazza replied, "I have no regrets, Richie, just don't sweat the small stuff."
I'd like to share a sporting quote that Marky sent to me about a year and a half ago. And it's a quote from Jesse Owens, the great Olympian. It says this: "Friendships born on the field of athletic strife are the real gold of competition. Awards become corroded, but friends gather no dust."
Our memories of Woz and the decades-old friendships that have been forged will always be dust-free. It doesn't matter whether you knew Andy for 40 years, 10 years, 1 year or a month. If you were his mate, he had your back unconditionally. His smile made you smile, and his laugh made you laugh.
When we last saw Andy at North Shore Hospital a few days before he passed, he was clear about where his next destination was. He said he was off to have a beer and watch a game of hockey at a stadium with Greasy and AD, our mates. Just chatting with Ash, we feel privileged, as I'm sure a number of people do who are in this room, to be part of a group of people who started off as teammates and adversaries. We became rep teammates. We became close friends with partners and wives. We welcomed others along the way. We became flatmates and hangers-on. We became best men and groomsmen, and we became parents, and we became fortunate to be godparents. Andy, more often than not, was right in the centre of that. And we are going to miss him terribly. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. As we heard from Andy's brothers, Andy had a very high-achieving and varied work career. He most recently worked at Fonterra with Lauren George and Ben Dakers, who will now share with us what it was like working with Andy.
Sorry, there's a picture of Andy right there. I can't look at it, so I'm just going to... My name is Lauren, and I had the privilege of working side by side with Andy for the time that he was at Fonterra. When Joe asked me to say a few words, I was honoured, but I was concerned I wouldn't be able to do it. But then I remembered that this is exactly what Andy had trained me for. Excuse me. His coaching on how to talk to large groups of people with conviction and strength through his talent as a change manager has been one of the many gifts he left us with. You all know what a great man Andy was, and as we've heard today, how talented he was at his craft. Not only did he have a true passion for what he did, but he was exceptional at it. He understood people, how they tick, how to communicate with them, and what they needed to be successful. His contribution to the team was one of the key drivers for the success of our programs and a legacy that won't soon be forgotten. Yep. One of the best things about Andy was his positivity, humour, and ability to always find a silver lining. This was never more true when he shared his initial diagnosis. People often commented to me about how impressed they were with his attitude to it all and how we should all learn something from that. The two of us were obviously having big feelings about what he was going through last year, but decided to deal with it in the same way we dealt with most stressful things, with humour. I remember him calling me and relaying that a nurse at the hospital, upon seeing Andy, had not so subtly removed the wig brochures from his care package. We saw this as a travesty and a wasted opportunity. One of our poor colleagues is likely still traumatised from a conversation had where she had just found out about his illness, and the two of us were busy cackling about how the nurse had robbed us of Andy 2.0 with a waist-long blonde mullet wig or a dark and curly Brian May-esque number that would have made our video calls far more entertaining. I'm not sure she's forgiven us, but we found it funny. I refused to say farewell to Andy when he left Fonterra, believing I would see him again. and I still believe that to be true. So today I say, ngā mihi nui, my friend. Ka kite anō. See you later.
Kia ora everyone. I'm grateful, thank you so much, to be able to share a few extra words there, really, with everyone. I'm Ben Dacus, just building a little bit on Lauren's words. We had the absolute pleasure, I think, about 18 months ago, of getting to hire Andy and getting to know him in that time. And I think you've heard a lot about change management and those skills he brings through many of the stories today. You know, what that helping people adjust to new ways of working, so change is stick. It's kind of one of the hardest things to do, I think, at work. And amongst the people that do it, they're really high-skilled professionals, and Andy stood out immediately. And, you know, we just knew we needed him at Fonterra. And I think you've heard the saying, you know, you can go fast alone, but you can go far together. And Andy absolutely lived that, right? He created lasting change through collaboration. I think everything we've heard about today. So from day one, you know, there's calmness, assurance, ability to take people on a journey when they were uncertain or fearful. Made a massive impact. He coached individuals to grow in confidence. He helped teams to tell better stories. And he brought a clarity of purpose to so many people's work. His humour and steady hand guided complex change in some pretty gnarly situations, and ultimately impacted hundreds, if not thousands, of people. But he always had this eye on the future and this vision that we've again heard so much about today. Sharp brain for strategy. We shared a lot of conversations early morning, late night, discussing how to solve problems, getting a little bit excited about the potential, and there was always just people right at the heart of everything he did. Right? That positivity reflected in every facet of his life that we've heard today. And I guess lastly, sometimes just the really little things in a time like this you remember. We once had a casual chat, I think, about a deli that Andy and Joe loved. And I said, hey, I love those olives, sound great. A week later, he turns up at work with some for me, remembering the conversation. And I just think small acts of kindness like that just showed who he really was, right? Thoughtful, generous, and a bloody good bloke. So Andy, you left a legacy. You're exceptional at your craft, and you'll be deeply missed.
Thanks, Lauren and Ben. Our final group of speakers are three of Harbour's finest. Billy Webb, Darren Joyce and Sharky, known outside these parts as Jeff Clark. They will finish up with some stories of hockey, friendship and the massive impact Andy has had on all our lives.
Right. Hi everyone, my name's Bill Webb. I've been off the scene for a little while, so you may not know me, but I've played a lot of hockey with Andy. And thinking about it, he's the guy who I've spent the most amount of time on the hockey field with for by quite some way. The first tournament that we played together was back in Wanganui. It was the one that's been mentioned before, the Colts, 1984. Fully bearded 16-year-old. First ever hockey tournament that North Harbour had representation for, and the first of many tournaments that we had together. And the last one was at Masters in Wellington in 2024. So a 40-year period of playing hockey together. In fact, it was in that Masters tournament that he disappeared. He was never supposed to play there the whole week. He flew back up to Auckland from Wellington halfway through to have an interview at Fonterra for a job, and then he wasn't supposed to come back down, but he came down because we were a bit short. We'd run out of troops, so he jumped back on a plane and helped us out. So yeah, we've played for 40 years, and I've never been in a team against Andy in all that time. I think I would have played for 400 or 500 games, I don't know, with him. We played together in Colts, Takapuna, ABC, 200 odd games together for Harbour, and Masters teams. Never once played against him. I've heard a lot of people, but yeah, he played fullback, I played centre half most of that time, and so I think I have a very close perspective on how he played. And a lot of people think he's a saint on the field. I've heard a lot of stories about that, and I've got to say that ain't true, people. While I've never played against him, I have trained against him, and there's no refs at training. and it's prison rules, and anything goes. And he knew the dark arts as well as anybody. And he had to. We started playing for Takapuna Prems back in '85 with Johnny, and that was the grass fields of Auckland Premier Hockey. And as a young group of defenders, we were up against some pretty mean, tough opposition, gold medalists, rising stars, and some of the nastiest players you'll come across. Hugh Compain, Mark Smith, Derek Arsam, they were all out there. And so you couldn't survive if you were meek and if you weren't committed to your craft. And Andy, he faced up against any opposition, and the word that comes to my mind when I think about it is tenacious. He would commit to it, he would not stop, and the ball or the player would never go past at the same time. So it was great to play with him behind. You always had that trust that was talked about. But yeah, he knew the time and he knew the line. I was talking to Oscar about that earlier, where he would not quite get himself in trouble, but he'd get pretty damn close. And we were ruthless sledging opposition. That was the great fun we had at ABC, was pick out someone in the other team and brutalise them verbally. And yeah, we probably ruined a couple of careers with it, but it was quite fun. It was quite good fun. So I think things aren't certain in life. There's a lot of variables, but one thing I do know is that if I'm available 10 metres away, I was telling Peg this, if I'm available 10 metres away and I'm 100% on, or there's a 5% chance of hitting someone 50 metres up the field, 100% of the time he's taking that pass. He's going long. Absolute certainty. And over the course of 40 years, I'd occasionally ask them, constructively, politely, hey Woz, did you see that I was on? Did you see that was a pass available? He said, yeah, Chubb, with a big shit-eating grin. Yeah, mate, but where's the fun in that pass? So anyway, it was hockey. That was my guarantee, and I think that was right through to the very end. And then the other thing I can talk about is living with Woz. So my first experience with him, Marcus mentioned it in his note, was at Club Wapiti in Epsom. We were living in a demolition villa, I think you could say, in the middle of Epsom. And reference, Gen Zers won't get it, but if you know the Young Ones TV program, it was very much anarchy in the flat. It was a lot of fun, and Teachers College wasn't far away. And so, back in, I guess it was 88, when they were at T-Col, Marcus and Woz would wander up late in not a great state, and they'd settle in to see their alcoholic inebriation settle down and either find a way home or stay the night. So regular visitors there, and sometimes we'd wake up one morning and Woz would be asleep on the couch, and we don't know where he turned up, and he wouldn't know how we got there. Sometimes he was fully clothed, sometimes he was bleeding, you just don't know. But we often woke up and saw the joy of Woz in a pretty poor state actually the following morning. But one thing was Blake Brewer was mentioned back in '92, I think it must have been middle of '92. We're on a rep trip down to Palmerston North, I think it was. We were on a bus heading down. Ash and Woz both got on the bus that day, mid-20s, living at home, living a comfortable life, not knowing what was going on. By the time we got past Taupo and about half a bottle of rum in, I'd convinced them to come flatting at Blakeborough because AD and Heather had left. We were in need of two flatmates, and so they decided that bus trip to cut the apron strings and come flatting. So I sort of got them to announce that to the team, so I was committed, and they couldn't back down on it, and they came flooding in Blakeborough, and things changed. We're in the reference of the Three's Company was with Larry. It was the name of that flat with AD, Heather and Pauline, and when these two guys turned up and stared, it changed totally. It was absolute energy. They were let free, and they enjoyed themselves. We had a brilliant 18 months at that flat. I think we lived off barbecued sausages, spag bowl, Chinese takeaways, Steinlager and rum. That was about it for the diet. And Pauline never really got to get through a session of Shortland Street. There was always games going on every time, whether it was coins or matches or balls, whatever it was, we were always playing games. Backyard, probably the one that I remember the most is indoor cricket. A lot of indoor cricket around Christmas time was best because we had a non-stop supply of balls from the Christmas tree, those polystyrene balls. And if you just roll them up a bit, you get a nice seam movement. And we'd never get them out because it was too good a batter. But, geez, we played that for hours. So, yeah, that was my recollection. Always a game. In fact, my only regret about Blakeborough was that we hadn't heard of beer pong when we were at that flat, because that would have changed our lives entirely. So, yeah, that was really my recollections. I was one of those group of mates that Pete and Ash were talking about. We did everything together: hockey, cricket, golf, fishing, touch footy, you name it. We spent our lives together and never got sick of each other's company. And it was fun, it was smiles, and there was never any animosity. Yeah, apart from when he never passed me the fucking ball. But I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. It's a tough act to follow, mate. Anyway, okay, so this may come as a surprise to a number of you, but my name is Jeff Clark. And today I have the privilege and the honour of speaking to you about Andy Wazza, his kindness and the hand of friendship and his warmth that he would extend to all of the immigrants and all of the new people that would come to North Harbour to play hockey. And I was one of those people. I first laid eyes on Wazza morning day one of a Colts under-21 tournament in Masterton across about 3 grass fields. I was 17 or 18 playing for a Canterbury B composite team. So there was a team that had fallen out, so they needed to replace it. So the Canterbury said, well, we'll throw our team at that. So I wasn't even meant to be there. And then I nudged my mate and I said, bro, that dude over there, man, he's got a huge beard. We're playing men. So my B team didn't actually play Harbour that tournament, but Selwyn Wong did, playing for Canterbury A. And he recalls the game where the bearded wonder kicked their ass. A handful of years later, I moved to the Big Smoke, and I didn't really know anybody here. And I was needing to play a bit of hockey, and I'd actually been in the Canterbury team that North Harbour had beaten the previous year, which put them into the Challenge Shield. So it was quite a big deal. I arrived, I was quickly selected into a North Harbour team, and I didn't really know the guys all that particularly well. We undertook a trip to Wellington, and we were down there, we'd played a game. Andy was injured, unbelievably, and I don't think he played. But what he did is, because there was a few new faces in the squad and all the rest of it, so he just sort of took it upon himself to do at the after-match and just sort of break the ice a wee bit. I think he may have had a few gins, I'm not sure. It was sort of like mid-afternoon. And he went around the room and he was sort of like handing out names of people, all the rest of it, and he's going around and it's like, you hit the post on a couple, you know, they were, not too bad. And he's getting around to me and I'm like going, what the hell is this guy going to say to me? What the hell is he going to do here? And we locked eyes and he looks at me and he goes, Jeff Clark, the shark. The shark in the park. And I go, shit you, bro. I'll tell you that. And so a bromance was formed. And I'm sure many before me and many after me, as he has a real knack for nicknames. But however, look, there are countless examples of how Andy took the youngies or the immigrants and guided them and mentored them in the Wazza way with open arms, a smile, a laugh, a cold beer. He always made you feel good. And he always made playing hockey for Harbour a safe place to be and a hell of a lot of fun. And it's not surprising that there was untold success that came with that as well. Brent Edwards talks about Waz's smile and laugh and a heartfelt welcome. More recently, Andy's genuine interest in Eddie's work and in his life. How he took a youthful Jeff Rosenbergy and engendered values and standards that have endured to this day in his own life. There are countless stories and there is countless memories of a wonderful, wonderful man. All of us that knew Andy will vividly remember the first time that we met him. And I would ask that later on today, if you stick around, remember that moment and enjoy it and express it with the people here as well. And over a drink, didn't mind a drink. I'll probably make mine a rum. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate the opportunity to say some words here today, so thank you to the powers that be there. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Darren Joyce, or DJ, and I first met Wazza in 1990. He was a teacher at Rangi. He wasn't any of my teachers, but he started coaching the first 11 that I was playing in. And the following year, I made the prim side at ABC, and got to sort of play alongside with Wazza. And as a number of you have touched on, quite the team to be a young, impressionable person sort of coming into. I do remember one of my first games with Wazza, and it wasn't really for his hockey, although that was quite a thing. It was actually for his knees. And as a lot of people have touched on, there was a lot of hair involved and a lot of injuries involved and a lot of tape involved. And as such, he had his knees heavily strapped. And so anybody that's done that realises that if you shave, it makes it an awful lot easier getting the tape off. Anyway, so I remember him coming out of the showers, and it was like he was wearing a hairy pair of shorts. In true Wazza style, he was getting a huge amount of stick from the lads, and but you know, Wazza owned that, and yeah, it was never quite the same as all the underwear that Ash wore, but there we go. So now I found myself as a young man straddling two worlds. I was at school, and at school I was asked, "Don't call me Wazza, it's got to be Mr. Worrall," and I went, "Yep, understand that." But then I made an absolute twit of myself a number of times on the field, streaming up from the left half, just going, "Mr. Worrall, Mr. Worrall." And I mean, you can imagine how receptive a lot of the boys on the team were for me. So it's very intimidating as a young 17-year-old joining a senior men's hockey side with absolute legends like Shooter and Billy Webb in that team. And Wazza had that rapport. He was the bridge. He bridged that gap. He was incredible support for me. Had a huge impact on my life at that time. And he always had a smile on his face, and he was always approachable. He did a huge number of little things that he did and said that made you feel included. And it wasn't just me. He had the same impact on people like Craig Shelley, on GB, Arnie Brown, and I'm sure many, many others. I realise now that it's this approachable Wazza quality or influence that I try and have when I am coaching and teaching and guiding young guys in the team now. And it's really from him. It was so much appreciated and had such a lasting impression on me that same kind of kindness and friendship that he offered me all those years ago. And that's what will stay with me. Thank you.
There's one late addition to today's program. It's something very special. And when Jo read it to me yesterday, I suggested to her that we read it to all of you. This is a poem that Andy wrote for Jo, Oscar, Elliot, Ella and Toby while in hospital just a couple of days before he passed away, and with a body that was truly fighting to function, but with a mind that was still sharp as a tack and determined to communicate. This is Andy's last ever literary work. It also confirms the widely accepted observation that hockey defenders generally display a far greater intellect, philosophical EQ, and writing skills than most others on a hockey field. Once we've read this poem, there will be a photo tribute for a few minutes up on the screen with some songs chosen by Andy and the family, after which we'll lose those who are on the live stream. I'll then let those of us here in the room know what will be happening next. And so now it's time to give Andy the last word as we debut his final poem. Embrace it in the context of when and where it was written. It's a little quirky and arguably short of a final edit, and I'm sensing just a faint hint of the hospital morphine. And I'd be happy to explain it to the strikers afterwards over a rum. Ella, would you like to read us your dad's poem?
Poetry can be a conscious stream of thought. Poems give the world colour. They give the dichotomy of time. They can define feelings or provide colour or texture to our thoughts. The good thing about poems is they need not conclude anything.
So, farewell, Andy. You'll be sorely missed, but never far away. Always a legend.
Don't feel it growing.
which way the wind blows when this day is done. Breathe in the air, set your intentions, dream with care. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone. A brand new moon, a brand new sun. So follow the sun, the direction of the birds, the direction of love. Breathe in the air, cherish this moment, cherish this breath. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone. A brand new moon, a brand new sun. When you feel life coming down on you like a heavy weight, when you feel this crazy society adding to the strain, take a stroll to the nearest water's edge. Remember your place. Many moons have risen and fallen long before you came. So which way is the wind blowing? And what does your heart say? Follow the sun, and which way the wind blows when this day is done.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic. Oh, I can now hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. And where that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah, when the foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the days of old. And magnificently we will fold into the mystic. foghorn blue, you know I will be coming home. Yeah, when that foghorn whistle blows, I gotta hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I wanna rock your gypsy soul, just like way back in the day, the road. And together we will go into the mystic. Come on, girl. Too late to stop.
Thank you, everyone, and a huge thanks to our speakers who've done Andy so proud. Joe, you didn't reference the Tolkien verse that's in the program. For those of you who want to read it at your leisure, this is, I understand, Joe, a verse that was given to you and Andy when you were leaving the Middle East by a friend.
When we were leaving New Zealand
When you were leaving New Zealand to go to the Middle East, and it's very special for Andy and Joe. So that's the meaning of that verse on the third page of the program. I've got a couple of organisational messages. There is a tribute book on the table to my right next to Andy. Joe would love as many of you as possible to write something about Andy in this book, please. Please take your time over the next few hours to do so. We invite you all to remain and join us for refreshments and a time to share stories of Andy. Over the next few minutes, the harbour team will be bringing out some tables and rearranging chairs, so please maybe step outside to get some fresh air. Maybe not while they're watering the turf for PHL. Get some fresh air or move to the side of the room for 5 minutes while we set up for the aftermatch. So please stay and have some drinks on Andy. The wine and beer is indeed on Jill, Andy and family, at least until half-time. And I've urged Peter Worrall to turn it into a cash bar at some stage, because this could be a very late night. I'm assured Wacker that there is plenty of food, and the harbour team, bless them, are expecting us to be here for quite some time. Please don't drink and drive. Thanks so much, and see you in a few minutes.